Alrighty, so Macedonia stunned Italy. Goodness gracious, did not expect that. We had the CONMEBOL qualifiers coming to an end, and we have the Australia versus Japan lowlights. I'll call them, to be honest with you. No real
Nothing
highlights
high
in that
about
one.
them.
Nothing high about them. Play that music, son.
Goo goodly goo.
Wow, wow, wee wow. Now, let's take it from the top, huh? Who would have thought when those playoff games got announced between Italy, Macedonia, and Portugal and Turkey that we would get Macedonia knocking Italy out? Like, I think when you saw that, you'd probably take Turkey beating Portugal.
Mm,
Like that was a bit more of a toss up. And actually, if you watch the game, it definitely looked like much more of a toss up.
mm,
Um, but you kind of thought, Italy, European champions, they've obviously not had a good qualifying stage the whole way through. They've struggled for form, being
mm,
inconsistent. But at
mm,
the end of the day, you think in a one game sort of situation, the experience the Italian sides had, the coaching ability of Mancini and all that sort of stuff. You kind of thought, you know, it's at the very least gonna go to some extreme lengths on part of Macedonia to maybe take it to penalties and scuff something like that. But really, what we got was Italy having 30 shots on goal, something like that, and Macedonia just being ridiculously resolute and probably the most stalwart defensive performances I've seen in yonks, like probably since the days of Juventus, scamming their way to several titles by just parking the bus. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
So yeah, what do you take of that?
Well, I mean, they faltered recently in the
Yeah,
qualifiers, bit
yeah,
patchy, but I think they were coming in undefeated,
yeah.
44-1, or something like that, some ridiculous record in 40 games, and it's their first loss in qualifying in a very
History.
long time. Yeah,
Yep.
very long time.
First
Um,
loss at home in a qualifier.
there you go. All those caveats on top make it work. Grab your headlines, boys. But no, really, it's you'd have to say it's embarrassing because you're the champions of Europe, right? And you got granted great shot. It was a bit of a one-off chance where the ball just kind of bounces to him. They miss a bit of miscommunication you can see between the midfield and defense on who's going to pick up the loose ball, and then it just falls to the player's feet, and he takes a punt in the 91st minute. Like it's not. Look, it's not the. It's probably the most heartbreaking way to lose, but it's not
Yeah,
the worst way. I think the
yeah,
problem is obviously, like you said, 30 something shots on target, a barrage of chances, but none were converted. And again, all it takes is one. And what a goal! Took it in stride and sent it way out of the keeper's reach in the far left,
yeah.
or our far left corner, keeper's right.
Do you know the name of the fella that scored? It's
I want to
escaping
say
me
it
now.
was Trajevsky or something
Something
like
like
that.
that. So that
Something
fella,
like,
he's a Palermo player, or he's been a Palermo player,
oh yeah.
and the stadium that they played in is Palermo Stadium apparently.
Oh right, he knows the pitch.
And some dude put together a little compilation of several goals that he's actually scored from the same exact position, sort of drifting in from left to right across the top of the box, and then hitting it across goal
Mm,
to the opposite corner. Scores that goal. I'm not saying he scored like 50 times or some shit like that, but he
mm,
scored a handful of them in that stadium, and I thought that was just like a nice little bit of muscle memory from the guy. It's
mm.
sort of like the perfect storm, right? Like the chance fell to the right guy at the right time, because maybe if Macedonia scores that goal in the 10th minute, they don't hold on the whole game, you know?
No, 100%.
Maybe they don't, who knows? Maybe if they score in the 70th minute, but they scored in the 86th, right time, right person, right place. Um, you have to also say that Donnarumma probably didn't cover himself in glory. I don't normally like chewing out the goalkeeper for positioning, like, oh, if he's 10 centimeters this way or that way,
Mm.
that's not really always going to be as tight and neat as you'd like. But you do have to watch that goal again and see that he's kind of way off to the side and
Does
not
look a bit
really,
funny.
not really expecting a shot either, which you kind of have to say is a little fair considering the fact that the bloke was surrounded by 3 or 4
Mm.
players when he got the shot off. But you kind of think Donnarumma, big ticket goalkeeper, probably the biggest ticket goalkeeper out there today. And the last two real important performances we've gotten
Yeah,
from
that's
him
right.
have not really been the best. Like obviously, seemingly he's fallen a long way from where he was at the Euros. Now I
Mm.
don't know if it's the move to PSG. He's become a little complacent. He's kind of splitting the role 50-50 with Keylor Navas. Not really feeling like that same sort of goalkeeper he was before. He had the mistakes, the blunder in the PSG game against Real Madrid, all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I just feel like it was a nice culmination of several things that worked out in Macedonia's favor. Um, and at the same time, I think Macedonia played their role perfectly.
Mm.
The two centre backs were tremendous, were ridiculous. Goalkeeper, very well on form. It was a park the bus type performance, but there was eloquence in it. You know what I mean? It wasn't chaotic. It was very well
Mm.
organized.
Mm. No, 100%. And that's what were you going to expect otherwise from
Yeah,
Macedonia? It's not like they have a talisman that can carry them. Like besides maybe Elmas or Badri or something like that can maybe show a bit of glimpse of attacking talent. But again, the supporting cast around them is not going to be able to feed them the ball in midfield to
yeah,
be able for them to make a difference. And Pandev, he's retired from memory as well after the Euros as well.
Euros. Yeah,
So I mean, where's the talent going to come? So you just have to drill yourself as a team, and this is why international football is actually so fun, or can be fun at times because you get an organized side that's well drilled, and the rest of breath, sorry, of any
yeah,
um star power and talent, and they can pull off
mm,
something like this. Granted, it was a bit of a lucky shot. You have to
yeah,
admit, falls in the right place, right time again happens the instance of the player being there before playing for Tchaikovsky was the name,
yeah. Oh, there
having
you
to
go.
play for Palermo and
Yeah.
knowing the stadium, I guess, and having that
Yeah.
shot
Yeah,
adds to the story.
knowing that particular opportunity, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
he's a guy that's relatively prolific from that spot. So
Mm.
maybe if it falls to another bloke, maybe the guy doesn't even take the shot. Because if you watch it, it's a bit of a
Oh,
haphazard shot. He kind of
100%.
picks it
It's
up off a
something just it's
rebound.
the 90th fucking put your foot through it.
Yep, yep, yep.
Mm.
Great
But
stuff
look,
from him, but
yeah, 100%. Good on him. Good on him. Back-to-back World Cups. No World Cups, sorry, for Italy.
yeah, man, that's
Interesting fact.
crazy.
Champions of Europe, but haven't been in the last two World Cups. Funny how it works.
Yeah, man. So strange. But I
Mm,
think it's probably more to the fact of how hot and cold the performances have been throughout the qualifiers, and then also how hot and cold all other European nations' performances were throughout the Euros,
mm.
where that's where, oddly enough, Italy found, consistency, where everyone else struggled for it. You know what I mean? Like, was there another truly consistent side in the Euros the whole way through? I don't think there really was. It's just really them.
Unless they had an easy group like Germany or something. I think Germany might have had a surprise draw or loss along the way, but they relatively quietly qualified through. But
Hmm.
I think we had the Euros last year. It was last year, correct?
Yep.
I wonder what would have happened if Italy played it at the original scheduled year, the
Mm,
the year prior.
mm.
What would have happened? If it was played in 2020 rather than 21, what would have happened? Like again, it's just it doesn't really affect anything in this stage. They've already lost the game. They've won the Euros.
Yeah.
Hooray. But I wonder how it would have played out in terms of qualifying for the World Cup because it's a little bit of a condensed, a slightly changed schedule, obviously with COVID and
Yeah.
everything, because with the footballing pauses and everything,
Mm.
what would have happened? I would have liked to seen a normal scheduled qualifying and tournament, calendar
Yeah.
just to see, simulate it and see what would have happened, in a different timeline. But obviously,
Yeah.
we're in this timeline, and somebody touched the spaghetti, and it was a Macedonian.
Yeah, legit. Uh, Everyone in Macedonia putting ketchup on their pasta today, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, mate, there. Pasta number one sellout item, bro.
I think that's probably one of the best things that's come out of this game is all the memes that have spilled out.
Oh, mate, I
Tremendous stuff.
quite like the one of Giorgio Chiellini pulling
Saka?
Saka because it
Yeah.
was an iconic moment in the final,
Yeah.
but also the meme ability that came after it
Yeah,
from the final, and now the inverse. So now the narrative of the meme have shifted. Look at this
it's shifted.
breakdown of the meme. The
Yeah,
narrative of the meme has shifted. Get
yeah,
around it.
it's crazy, right? It's
Mm.
your own meme gets you.
Yeah, sometimes it be your own meme.
Funnily enough, Chiellini came on in the last 5-10 minutes of the game, and his contribution was 2 fouls. And I'm pretty sure that he's the guy that went out to press the bloke that took the shot and didn't
Hmm.
get to him in time.
Yeah, he
So
he kind of dilly dallied. I think I don't know who the midfielder was. I think I want to say it was Jorginho, but I could be wrong. And
it was.
he kind of pointed it out to for someone to come out and like kind of they both did the little and
Yeah, is
then
it yours? Is it mine? Too late.
yeah, Trajovski already picked the ball up and fucking fanged it in by the time they figured it out. But yeah, no, love that for Macedonia. Obviously, I think they have Portugal
Yep.
in the final game. Look, to be honest, it's maybe it might be the euphoria of this result, but
Yeah.
it might be a winnable game if they can
Yeah.
hold out for this long and push it to the nth degree. Deep
Yeah.
push them into championship rounds.
This is the difference, right? Is that I think strategy is going to be the same. I think the
Mm,
way that they played, it's completely applicable as it is to Portugal as it was to Italy. So I think they
mm,
can go out there and try to recreate the same game plan. I think the only difference is Portugal at the moment have more prolific finishers
mm.
up top. So I don't know if they can count on them, scuffing near 30 chances.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, though, I do think that overall, as a squad, Portugal is weaker than Italy. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's interesting.
That's kind of what I see. Like,
I would have thought the other way around, really,
no,
because when you
I
think
don't.
of it, because I think Ruben Diaz isn't going to be in the team. I think he's still injured,
Mhm.
from memory. But you still have Bruno Fernandes,
Yeah,
Bernardo Silva, again,
yeah,
Cristiano Ronaldo. You can't
yeah,
count that bloke out.
yeah.
And I mean, if they play Sa or Patricio,
Jota.
if they
Yeah.
decide they've got and João Felix, I think they've got a
Yeah.
lot more talent, maybe depth.
I think
Um,
they've got. I feel like they've got more individual talent for sure. But
but as a team.
I just think as a team,
Mm,
both
okay.
both in terms of a balanced, squad. I
Mm,
feel like Italy has a more balanced squad throughout. They've got more capable midfielders. They've got more capable defenders, that's for sure. And they've obviously got a much better keeper than Portugal do. The
mm.
only difference is that Portugal happen to have the exact sort of players that I don't think Macedonia would like to deal with.
No,
Right? It's
100%.
those
Some guys
really
that can actually finish,
some
unlike
guys
you.
that can actually finish. Exactly that. So
Mm.
I think it's kind of like it's probably about the same sort of game for them overall.
Yeah, yeah.
Going up against Italy, going up against Portugal as it is against Italy, it's probably going to feel the same. My only curiosity is that what Portugal shows up. Is it going to be the Portugal that's consistent, clinical, puts their chances away, or are they going to be sort of entirely reliant on Ronaldo? And where I see that becoming a worry is that these two, the Macedonian centre backs, they're no joke, man. Like they're hard to beat in the air. They're physical dudes. I don't think Ronaldo is going to have the easiest game. I think it's going
Mm.
to be one of those games where maybe someone like Jota or João Felix or one of the Robins will pop up to make the difference. And that's where Italy didn't have that. Italy doesn't have star A and star B to go to.
Well,
You know what I mean?
to be fair, the best player for Italy was Chiesa throughout the last tournament, and he
And
busted
he's
his
injured. Yep.
ACL.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yep.
hypothetically, Chiesa's in there. Maybe he makes a difference.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Oh
like you
yeah.
said, one of the Robins that shows up and helps Italy get across the line. Maybe he's one of the guys that actually converts because he was scoring. He had
Yeah.
a lot of goal contributions for a tournament. And had a pretty strong tournament overall for
Mm.
Italy. So maybe if he plays, it's a different ball game because I think he's a bit of a hybrid striker winger type of guy. Gets
Mm.
in behind, but also can kind of do the 1-2 and the little intricate bits, and very direct, which is kind of something that teams can lack at times. And I guess maybe Italy did lack some directness in terms of a goal threat where they can convert. So
Yeah,
um,
I mean, look, if you go look at the substitutes, they felt that as well. They had to rotate Insigne.
mm,
They put on what's his name, João Pedro. Like they tried a lot of stuff that they weren't trying in the Euros,
mm,
right? And that shows you're missing essentially your key offensive piece. You're gonna have to get experimental and like that's not the time. One game playoff match. You don't really have the opportunity to try figure things out on the fly. And look, I reckon if it was any other coach that wasn't as adept as Mancini, I reckon Italy would have struggled considerably more. Because if you really think about it, going against a stalwart defensive team fighting for their lives, and you're missing your best offensive piece in an already relatively lackluster squad going forward, you're gonna really run out of options pretty quickly, and it felt like they did.
100%.
What's your prediction for Macedonia, Portugal?
Oh, I think it's hard to say they'll win it off the bat again. The euphoria of the moment, the upset, all that, and the fact that they even the euphoria of qualifying for the Euros as well. They went a long way around, and unfortunately they went out in the group stage, but they didn't go out, without some sort of fight. But I think Portugal should get through. I just think the attacking talents are so varied and different because you've got Ronaldo, João Felix, Jota, so many Robins, and even in the midfield, like you look Fernandes, Silva. These guys are creative individuals that can really give you so many different looks and I guess different attacking outlets to really kind of confuse and muddle up even a well drilled side like Macedonia. I mean,
Yeah.
The thing is now, probably they went up against against Italy, going, we have nothing to lose. It's Italy. We're versing the world champions. We just play our game, and then hopefully we win. Or not hopefully, but we just go out there and what happens happens.
Do our best, sort of thing. Yeah.
Do our best. Yeah, exactly. So maybe mentally now it's a little bit different because they've got the scalp, or maybe boredom makes him, maybe makes them push harder and go for balls to the wall. So I don't know, but I still think Portugal is just so the attacking pieces are so strong and so varied in that it's not a one man team or a one I guess a one way to attack type of thing. I think Portugal's gonna be a hard task to get over. But look, I'll be rooting for them. That's for sure.
Yeah, my thing with it is I think it's not going to be the same sort of game where Macedonia is just sitting in their box absorbing chance after chance. I think although Portugal have much more attacking talent in the final third than Italy does, I don't think they've got that sort of building presence. They don't have Ruben Diaz, who's their main distributor from the back, right? And they don't have a midfielder like a Verratti or a Jorginho who sort of sets the pace in the midfield. What they've got is they've got two really good number 10s in Fernando Silva, in Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes, right? So they've got those sorts of perfect. They're going to create chances in the final third. It's just how often are they going to get to the final third in comparison to how often Italy did? I don't think it's going to be like how it was against Italy, where it's like clearance, back in Italy's possession, start again. Clearance, back in it. I think there's going to be a bit more to and fro. I think we're going to see a bit more of Macedonia in this game. I'm not saying they're going to dominate possession. It's going to be 50-50 or anything like that. But it's definitely not going to be the same split we got against Italy, because I just don't see Portugal having the capacity to be able to control the ball the whole way through the game. They just don't have those kinds of midfielders. The only guy that does that on a week-to-week basis is Bernardo Silva, and he's not surrounded by the same pieces in this team at all. Right? No. I think it's going to be a lot more it's going to be much more of an open game, I think, than the Italy game was. The only thing is that, maybe less chances Portugal will have than Italy did, but I think they'll do more with those chances. You know what I'm saying? They've got better finishers. I think it's going to be one of those things where if Macedonia can get a nice early goal somehow and hold it, they've got a good chance. But I just don't see Portugal getting to the 85th minute without scoring a goal and then being gypped in the last minute. So, I think it's the way I see it is, if Macedonia can get on the scoreboard early, they've got a really, really, really good chance of stifling Portugal and holding on. If they don't get a goal, the further it gets into the game, I think the more likely it is for Portugal. So, both of us reckon Portugal win.
But we're secretly very much rooting for Macedonia.
Yeah, for sure.
We want the upset.
Oh, for sure. Always got to go for the upset. Alrighty. Let's get into the CONMEBOL qualifiers, because there was a bit of controversy in there.
Never a quiet moment.
Never a quiet moment. So we've got 4 teams qualified, set in stone. Brazil, Argentina, Ecuador, Uruguay. That all shook up because Uruguay beat Peru 1-0 in a very sort of, I don't want to call it like a jammy game, but it was very full of fouls. Not a whole lot of flowing play. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
None of the chances were really like nice, well-earned chances. They were all, you know, fought tooth and nail just to create any sort of opening.
Mm.
Then you had obviously the fact that right towards the end of the game, the dying moments, one of the Peruvian fellas hits a big cross, overhits it, and it starts falling right in towards Uruguay's goal, and the goalkeeper catches it and does that, he hold the ball out while I fall in towards the goal sort
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah, yeah.
And boy, does it look like it went in. Holy shit. On
Man,
pretty much every angle that you saw it on live TV, it looked like it went in. It
did they have
was,
the goal line system or not?
there's no goal line technology in South America.
Yeah.
None of that.
It's Spaghet and Portugal all over again.
Yeah, it's real sus. But also, what was more sus was that as soon as it happened, the ref. By the way, what a jacked ref! Have you seen this ref?
Is it the
Huge.
one with the little comb over or something like that?
Nah, he's got like a little buzz cut, sort of like yours.
No,
He's
no. Maybe I have, but I can't recall
he's
now.
like Rocondo. He's a Brazilian ref, just fucking jacked.
No, let's have a
Um,
quick Google.
yeah, he's on whatever they were giving Vitor Belfort. That's for sure. He's huge. He's huge, and yeah. So when that moment happens, the way he just sort of waves off any sort of protest, nah, it's all good. Doesn't bother like giving a little second for VAR to give him a word or nothing. It just seemed really sus in the moment, and I really just wish he would have like at least
This bloke.
feigned. Yeah, that guy,
Yeah, I've
that
seen him
guy,
before.
fucking,
Yoked.
fucking huge.
He's pumping synthol in the fucking favelas. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so he just sort of waves it off, and it's all good, keep playing. It just looked really, really sus.
Mm.
They didn't even show a replay on the live broadcast that I was watching. Like I was just feeling like this is smelling like the game's gonna end, and they're gonna
Mm.
go to the review, and it's like that's clearly a goal. We have to give it to them.
Should have looked at this again.
Exactly. But ever since then, there's been 1,001 different replays and angles and this and that, and it does look like at best the ball got like 6/8 across the line, like it was real close, maybe a half a centimeter or so. But regardless,
But
it
it
didn't.
wasn't the whole ball.
But it wasn't the whole ball. It really wasn't. And so yeah, controversial ending, but nonetheless, Uruguay qualify. And now we get Brazil, Argentina, Ecuador, Uruguay qualify, which I actually think is a pretty strong qualifying, group that we're sending over to the World Cup, because to me that's Uruguay's obviously played shit, so I'll leave them out. But I think Argentina, Brazil, and Ecuador are probably the three best teams in South
Yeah,
America over the qualifying period. I think
yeah,
they're a fair three.
yeah. I think if you look at the because I think I suggest I think they have the last round is at the end of the month, or in 4 days, and
Yeah.
it's the last round, and we've got Peru playing Paraguay,
Mhm.
and I believe Uruguay is playing Chile. So both the
Yep.
opponents are out of qualification.
Mhm.
Don't look likely, so it's pretty much a dead rubber. But I think that one will decide their final placing between fourth
Yep.
and fifth. And then you have Ecuador. I believe they are playing. I'm just going to check. Ecuador are playing Argentina.
Yep.
Now, the reason why that game is important is Uruguay is actually level on points, but down 2 goals and goal difference. So,
Yep.
depending on that result, it could be an automatic qualification, or we go down the playoff route for Uruguay or Peru.
No,
And
there's no playoff
nope,
route for Uruguay anymore.
no, oh, it's good to go.
No,
All
no.
right, good
Yeah,
then. So
because
it's just
it's
Peru and
Peru.
Australia.
It's no, it's
Yeah.
actually we're still deciding between Peru, Colombia, and Chile.
Oh
So
wow! So it's still
essentially, the
late.
way it breaks down is whoever, if Peru wins their game, it's Peru.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what happens elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
Peru loses and then Colombia wins, it's
Yeah,
Colombia.
right. Yeah, because
If
it's
if
21, 20,
Peru,
and 19.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
Peru,
You're right.
Colombia lose and Chile win, then Chile is playing Australia. So
Oh
look,
wow.
I really do think that no matter how it shakes up, Australia is not qualifying, because all three of those teams just steamrolled them. Playing how they did against Japan, even Peru will score 4 goals against them. Like it's just
Yeah, Peru will just muscle them
kill
out of the
them.
way. I
Yeah,
I prefer
not
Peru
even
to be
close.
honest. if it was up to me, I'd prefer Peru or maybe
Yes.
Chile.
Yes. Yeah.
Just because I think Chile is well past it, and they've been a topsy turvy side. They're going through. I think it's an end of an era transition phase out. The likes of Vidal,
Yeah.
and Sanchez, their time is coming nigh, and you can
Mhm.
really see it. They're no longer the talismans. They're no longer guys that carry the team forward, and also they've had a few coaching changes. During that, I guess, post Sampoli period that haven't worked out, and even now they look pretty lackluster
Yeah.
on field. Snazzy kids, but I'll give them that. But yeah, I prefer the Chile or Peru. Peru more so, just because the talent isn't as good. It's more comparable to Australia. But
Yeah.
again, with South American teams, it's passion.
I just
Every
think that
every every blade of grass will be fought for.
the thing is as well, it's one game.
One game. I
It's
love
one
that.
game, bro.
No legs.
I
No
just don't- I
double
don't
headers,
see I
no.
just don't see Australia being able to do it. Like
If they
they're not playing here. They're going to be playing Qatar,
Mm.
right?
In
So like
Qatar, there you go.
yeah. So and that's the other thing as well. Let's say it's because they play both of them, both the qualify because as you know Australia plays they have to play UAE or Iraq.
Yeah, their final round against, I think it's the UAE, and then they have Saudi Arabia in the last one, and then
Yeah,
no, Saudi Arabia next, and then UAE in the last one, I believe.
yeah, yeah. Or whoever I think it's still being decided between UAE and Iraq. I think
hmm
it's they have to
hmm
play. So then there's that playoff game, and then whoever wins that plays the South American team. I don't. First
Mm.
of all, I don't see Australia beating UAE or Iraq.
Well, it's going to be difficult. I think they'll beat them, but it's
Well,
not going to be
playing
straightforward.
in playing in the Middle East, by the way, bro.
Hey,
They're
look,
not
they've got
playing here.
AC in those stadiums, bro.
Yeah, true, but like I just don't see it, man. I just
I don't know.
playing how they played against Japan. I do not see it.
Well,
Let's jump into
let's
that.
roll into it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Let's roll into that. The overall consensus between the both of us is what I can pick up here is a garbage performance.
terrible, terrible.
No spine, no
No.
fight. Literally, that midfield. Look, I can't blame the forwards too much because there was no service moving forward, and the defense. Yeah, okay, there could have been situations where they've done better, but when you expose when
Could you? Sorry, I just want to back you up for a second here.
go
Could you say that there probably was a bit more service in the first like 30, 40 minutes, but it was
look.
just to someone who relatively couldn't do much with the ball, which is Mitchell Duke.
Look, Mitch Duke. Look, he was there to win the headers, and that's fair enough. The game wasn't played up in the sky, and he's
Mm,
shit with his feet.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
think the service for him or anyone that was playing up front, whether it was Mabil or
yep,
even
fair, fair.
always forget his name. Martin
Boyle.
Boyle. There we
Yeah,
go. Martin Boyle. When the ball did move forward, it wasn't a very fluid moment, or it wasn't sustained because we had that patch right after the second half where we literally looked like we were about to score at any moment, right?
yep,
And even in the middle of the first half, I reckon after we survived kind of that early Japanese onslaught, we
yep,
kind of Hrustic got a couple of chances. We
yeah.
shinned out into our box. Kind of looked like we were building some momentum, and then it disappeared again. So
Did it again,
it's
yeah,
hard to say the service was great when it wasn't. When it was there for 10 minutes at
yeah.
a
Okay,
time,
yeah,
and then your midfield was completely porous. It literally looked like Maya Yoshida would make a tackle at the back, and then Nagatomo would play the ball out from left back or make a pass into Endo, and then Endo plays it out to Ito or
yeah,
Asano or Minamino or something like. It literally looked like just it was two passes and bang, two three passes, and they're already on that other side. And
yeah.
I
No
get it.
midfield at all.
Yeah, I get it. Their counter-attacking side, they really resolutely defend it. But my concern is how can you get such a quick transition? The midfield was literally just nowhere to be found, like
No,
complete Swiss cheese. And then the defense is constantly, there should be the last line of defense, not the first. The midfield should pose a resistance
yeah.
so they can set the defense.
I don't think they
But none
even
of that.
there was none of. I don't think the midfield stopped a single attack until the sub for who came on
I
for
think
Metcalf.
When Jago came on, when
Yeah,
Jago
when
came
Jago
on,
came on, it improved considerably.
yeah,
You
there
know, it
was a
wasn't
bit more
good,
fight in the
but it's
midfield.
better.
But
Yeah,
it's disappointing, really, the way they play. I just think, look, result aside, and the squad aside, we get it. Injuries, COVID, havoc. Some of the best role players we had, some of the best attackers gone, right? But to start Mitch Duke over Fornaroli and McLaren, bit questionable. Bit
yeah,
questionable. Very interesting choice, considering
mm,
the guy plays in the second division of Japan now.
yep,
And then not making the changes early enough. Just I get Stennisness. You want to lock him in for a cap, right? And then get him playing for Oz. look, the bloke wasn't too bad. He had some moments, but why would you thrust a kid that's never had a full international cap, who's playing
Yep.
for the for NZ at the Olympics, right? Why would you thrust him into such a big game at home
Yep.
in front of the 40,000 people? Like you'd want some reliable people in there that have played for, they've had this experience, that have the type of or I guess the game style where they're gonna dig in and kind of battle through. We all knew once, we figured out, Goodwin had COVID, and Arnie had COVID, and we had all
Mm.
these shuffles in the lineup in the squad.
Yep.
It was going to be difficult. So why not just put in a couple of guys, hardy, defenders or stalwart guys that are going to be able to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, or sit deep and fight hard.
Yeah.
Look, it was just a bad performance and bad coaching. I think that's the worst part. Bad coaching.
The reason it's like one of the things that epitomizes how bad it was is that Japan had 1,000,001 chances,
Mm-hmm.
right? Didn't score any of them, and we
Mhm.
punished them absolutely 0 times. You know what I mean?
None of the
Like
time.
they gave Australia everything they could have, because they missed every chance they in the world, and they only
Mhm.
scored in the 89th. We had 89 minutes to
Mhm.
upset them, and capitalize on their mistakes, and we didn't even get close, really. Like, we didn't really get close. The closest we got was Hrustic's free kick. That was about it, And I reckon, one of the more competent goalkeepers in world football, they probably just catch that free kick.
Yeah, the
Old
guy. Yeah.
mate palmed it away because I think he was just going for the safest
What
lock.
I don't understand either is I don't know if it was just me, but it looked like the Japanese goalkeeper was catching butterflies in every cross. And
Yeah,
what do
no.
we decide to do? We don't capitalize on that at all.
No,
We don't
no,
exploit that. We don't,
I
make
got a
him
question for
uncomfortable.
you.
Yeah, go
Mitch
on.
Duke had a good head and shoulders over both the centre backs. We
Mm.
didn't play one cross into him in the box. He
That's
got
what
all
I'm
the high balls from the back,
Mm.
into midfield, try to build up play. But once we got into the final third, not one cross. Hrustic, he's got an educated, foot. He's got a good cross on him. Very technical player.
Got some sauce on him.
You're playing alongside a big, center forward type guy who's a nice, huge target in between two relatively undersized center backs. How do you not manage to get one ball to him? Just one. It's terrible stuff. Terrible stuff.
And the fact is, and to your point, we were getting pressed out the back. There was a lot of times where we either lost the ball, misplaced the pass, looked dicey.
Yep.
Why didn't we just send it up top to Duke? Like, I get it, we want to play a certain type of football, but we could see that at times we could not play out because the Japanese press was so strong. Why don't we just goof it up to Duke, fucking let him do his job as a header expert, and then fucking get him to knock it down? Do the old Allardyce, mate.
Yeah, let's just. Why didn't we get the chance to see him at least try fight for one ball in the box? It's just stupid. Alrighty, look, we got to wrap up here. Follow us on the socials at LastGoWinsPod_ on Instagram, at LastGoWinsPod on Twitter, at LastGoWinsPodcast on Facebook. All glory be to Bozza. God bless.